AI presents for us a tremendous paradox because it can liberate us and it can also enslave us at the exact same time. And I will explain it like this. So, for those who own a business or for those who are thinking about starting an enterprise, in technology or, a non-technical business, the name of the game in the business has always been margin and profit. Sustainable profit, sustainable margin. Not only do you want to make X percent this year margin or profit to put away to reinvest or to have a rainy day fund, you also have some assurance that that product or that service is going to survive the next year, right? Like, not only do you forecast that, your employees are banking on that. What AI presents as a paradox is actually, it's difficult to arrive at this, is that because it can, not through AI itself yet, but through AI utilizing agents or workers that are trained in very specific task, or agent workers trained in very specific task, cognitive tasks that typically were very laborious, that now you can wire together a series of micro agents or microservices, and they will, and we're training them now, businesses are training them now to predictably and reliably output the same amount that a human would, more efficiently and for, $19 a month rather than whatever your salary is. So the businesses today, they're confronted with, well, what do we do with this AI technology? I mean, eventually our competitors are going to start buying these agents and they're going to have lower cost. We could maybe bolt on some agents and adjacent to our employees, and we'll realize short-term efficiency gains, right? So you go down this path of, and now the commentators and the business leaders are saying it, and now they're actually doing it, with Salesforce laying off a good headcount, with Meta saying how much, what they were going to be doing. And even in the smaller enterprises, it's happening, right? We're seeing the tightening up of tightening up of businesses as they get ready for what is coming. But here is the paradox behind AI, and this is where, you I don't know, if this was a Bond movie, you can sometimes shift between, are you the villain or are you Bond himself? In thinking about, well, what can happen if AI with agentic thinking can replace you? The question is why are we working? Why don't we just all together agree that we're going to let AI and agents do the work for us and enjoy a world of abundance, create a world of abundance, not create competition based on scarcity? And that's the paradox, is that the thing that can and eventually will make it to where we don't have to go to perform cognitive labor tasks anymore, accountants, engineers, lawyers, scientists, to type into a system and say, give you the answer to this, and it give it to you pretty reliably. That's amazing. But it's the unevenness of what it presents in front of us in the short term. Because short term, it's going to come after the marketing task. It's going to come after the low skill cognitive task. It's going to come after the overly complex task, right? Because we've extracted value from complexity and from obscurity and from occulted hidden knowledge, right? Like, that's the whole point of why you have to go to a lawyer. And the joke is, well, the lawyer knows something that you don't know. You go to an accountant, the accountant knows something that you don't know. You go out for experts, and for the longest time when you would go to Google saying, all right, well, Google, what does the world know that I need to have the answer to right now? Now those answers are at your fingertips, and it becomes an ironic play, which is, what questions do you want to start asking now? And if everyone is asking, how do I send better emails? How do I extract more value from a thing? How do I beat my competitors? How do I go into a market? How do I XYZ? You're missing the point with what AI does. If it can reasonably, if you have access to the world's greatest scientists in your pockets, and if you can build things that abstract away complex labor, cognitive thinking, why aren't we thinking, how do we end world hunger? How do we have a farm? How do we have abundance of food? How do we create an abundance of not wealth, not monetary wealth, but how do we have an abundance of time with our families? And so the hopeful message today is sort of a play on the thought that AI presents a paradox for us. And we all have to come together, and we all have to ask ourselves, well, what do we want to do with AI? Do we want to make our emails better? Or do we want to enjoy the lake? Do you guys want to go to the park? Or do you want to go to a meeting? I mean, half of you won't understand this because it's almost unbelievable. I mean, this is, cracked my brain, almost like not arriving at this, cracked my brain trying to process this whole thing. Is that the very thing that will create so much chaos in the deceleration of the global economy is the thing that, if we can flip it on its heels, can actually create a world of abundance and alleviate so much suffering. I mean, we're going to be able to, and I think in my lifetime, in my son's lifetime, we're going to solve cancer. I hope. I'm optimistic. Can we not solve hunger? Can we not solve recalibration and reallocation of resources? There's a lot of stuff we can do. And if you guys want to send your emails, that's fine. I mean, I'm sure people will want to LARP businesses, and I wouldn't mind having I wouldn't mind having an office club, right, where I meet up with my buddies and we role play The Office for a couple hours a day. I mean, my dad plays dominoes at the local gas station. There's a lot of things we can do, but the paradox is here, and it's happening. You are not crazy. Do not deceive yourselves. Do not deny what you see right in front of you. You see it. You see exactly what's happening. People are going to start losing their jobs first, and they're not going to come back. And it's not just us, it's the global market. I mean, imagine, I used to own a technology company, and most of our labor was overseas. And there's an entire marketplace of people in South America, Central America, Asia, Europe, Africa, that relied on Western organizations using them for their service, and like it or not, they needed their $20 an hour. Their $20 an hour there was big living, that was their economy. So things are going to happen, the change is going to happen, and I'm tired of being scared, and I'm tired of feeling like I have this message inside that I need to just keep to myself. And I realize that there's probably more people that feel the way I do, but maybe they're too scared to get up, and they're too scared to say something, or maybe they see 1/8 of the picture. How can I help you see the whole picture? How can we come to understand the picture together? Because people are going to start saying things. If I was to give like a scary analogy of this right now, this almost feels like the beginning of COVID did, and it's around the same time in 2020. 2020, it was about this time when we were hearing that there was some mysterious virus that was coming up, and we all began to sort of look around and say, oh, what's the government going to do? The government told you to put your 7-year-old on Zoom. The government schools, they'd have weekly get-together sing-alongs, and none of the kids even, knew what to do on the computer. Like, that was the government's response. The government released, in the history of mankind, released vaccinations quicker than you might imagine is prudent. The government, with the access to its media arms, ran and then obfuscated the truth. Ran campaigns of mass compliance. So all is to say to you is that the government ain't coming. It's not going to be universal basic income. And that's the point too that is so doubly ironic, and I feel like I'm even messing that word up. That's the part that doesn't make sense to me is when you say universal basic income, you need an income to buy things. Like if I got money, I'm gonna pay a bill, or I'm going to go buy a phone or go to a restaurant. Like it was, it's our own collective understanding of our own self-interest that allows us to navigate our local community, the nation state community. But man, this is a wild tangent here, but I love it. I'm just rolling with it, guys. I'm getting a lot off my chest right now, so we're just enjoying ourselves. The government is going to not have an answer. They're going to say it's UBI, but UBI necessitates the need for things to purchase. And those things that you purchase, up till now, I think what you'll come to realize is that they were not really your desires to purchase them. I mean, like the staple, the number that you measure what you want, right? You can't control what you can't measure. We measure right now our gross domestic product, right? But at this moment, like your consumptive ability has been the product. You are the product up till now. And your desire to purchase things, your desire to interact with society, your desires, your hobbies, your habits, are there still going to be train collectors, and are there still going to be Magic the Gathering people? Yeah. There's still economies of those things. But what is the value of UBI within the sphere of the Magic the Gathering economy? Like, am I going to take my 45 Doge credits and buy a Pokemon card? Am I going to take my, Treasury Cash card and I'm going to buy Nike shoes? But what happens when all of us are getting the same amount of money? Or how are they going to adjust UBI? They're not. UBI is not the answer, because if UBI is the answer, the question is, what do you want to consume? The answer, in a world of abundance, in a world where artificial intelligence can reduce labor and reduce suffering to its minimum viable necessity, could we all collectively get together and say maybe we all work 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 15 hours a week, 5 hours a week? But not for cash, but for the things that really matter, like food. I'd rather have universal basic food, universal basic man, I mean, if you take this all of its way, it gets pretty wild, because then, at no time in history have we ever had a thing, or I guess there's been times in history, but it's not so easy to see the times in history that you've seen societies confront disruptions like this. I was telling a buddy of mine, if you look back at all the greatest achievements in mankind, they're all ruins now, right? There's the Colosseum, the pyramids, Great Wall of China, some fascinating ruins in Central and South America. Like, they're all ruins. Man, how do I conclude this without saying nation state collapse? What should you be on the lookout for? What should you be looking for when you are concerned about what is happening? Don't blind yourself. The thing I have to tell you is keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. Keep those eyes wide open as you can, and really look at what's in front of you. And don't worry. Do not worry. Do not become overly anxious. Do not have fear. Because those are things that when you trigger those, you begin to think less. You might imagine, I saw a video of a gazelle. It was running, and it got captured by a cheetah. And the cheetah had its claws in its throat, or had the animal's throat in its jaws. And so that animal, to prevent itself from suffering, did something in its brain, triggered a thing, where it said it's going to disassociate. It's going to separate itself from its moment, and it's going to probably die. It's going to let the blood run out, off to the next, whatever gazelles go to. But then the cheetah got distracted by a hyena that sort of rolled in there. That gazelle just laid there, and that gazelle had been in that mouth for some minute. It was not fighting. It was just there. It was in the death throes. The hyena came over, and that cheetah went after it. That gazelle, probably in a snap of reason, jumped right up and ran away. It took its life back. It lived. I think if you're afraid, if you're anxious, in the present moment, you're going to lose your cool. But the powers that be in the system at present has a mechanism to control your emotional state. It has two. First one is money. The second one is attention. So the first thing is, because you've got so much debt, because you desire much, trivial things, that you will be willing to make compromises and to make decisions that would not be your decisions. Not because, if I said your debt is absolved, go away, you don't have any more debt. Not because you wouldn't have joy, but because they won't say that. Because they, the banks, the bankers, our monetary system, they all have you captured. I mean, look at the auto industry is going to probably suffer. The housing industry is going to suffer. I mean, there's going to be a lot of suffering there, absolutely. And then the secondary, tertiary markets, as a result of those, are going to not have a good time. But because of money, you can be controlled, which is why the nation state then says, we will give you more money to keep you controlled. But what you don't realize, or what you're not being told, is you have the power the whole time. I mean, our smaller communities have had the power the whole time, but I digress on that. That's probably a subject for another video. Money has you captured, and then your attention has you captured. What are you paying attention to? What has your attention? What is keeping you distracted? Is it TV? Is it your work? Or maybe you're part of a percentage of people in the Western side of the world that doesn't have money or attention captured. Maybe you're a homesteader. Maybe you're a mall rat. Maybe you're a punk. Maybe you're a millionaire and you're not paying attention to those things. Whatever it is, maybe you've never watched TV. Maybe you're of the faith and you've been prepared this whole time. Whatever it is, because of money, because of your attention, you're not going to see what's happening in front of you until it's too late, just like COVID. The government doesn't have the answer. The government doesn't have the answer. Because the government's only answer is going to be compliance. If you want to take back your autonomy, we have to go back to the initial question I posed. Is in this paradox where a cognitive tool that can reasonably perform all task, all mental task with some training, why not build it in such a way that it absolves us of the need for this labor? Well, then you ask yourself, well, how are we going to interact in an economy? I don't know. I was looking at a map of Honey Grove, Texas from the 1880s, 1800s. There was a gentleman who went up in an air balloon, hot air balloon, and he would draw sketches of these cities from 150 years ago at this point. They're beautiful, beautiful depictions of civilization. That's not where we are now. I mean, we're not going to become agrarian. We're not going to become, I don't know what we're going to become. I don't. And if I go too far off in the deep end, it gets pretty wild. But part of your mission is to understand what I'm saying, because I'm not wrong. As you're thinking right now, and you've got doubt, you've got counter opinions, you've got questions. I'm not wrong. Now, I know enough of civilization to know that we're pretty despicable, right? We have the proclivity to come together and be good to each other, to mankind. We have charities and churches, good causes, good friends, good food. I mean, we are, thank goodness I live in the West. We have a good society. We also know we don't have the best society because we've been captured by media. I mean, we've got all the worst things you would ever want to see on TV and right at our fingertips. We subjugate mankind. It's pretty. We're in a pretty wild time to change. And so I leave you with this question and this challenge statement. If we can all come together and train AI and agents to come together and to do the work for us, then why not? I don't know how that's going to work for the economy, but it's not. I hope it's not UBI. I hope it's not money. I hope we can have an abundance of food, and I hope we can, with that abundance of food, maybe we set up new cities and let everyone spread out a little bit. I mean, if we're not having to work, maybe we spread out. We fill out the planes. We do another little manifest destiny. Maybe it's manifest don't die. Whatever it is, manifest stay alive, and we're gonna have to be ready to help people with the mental transition, because your purpose up till now has been a really good SEO person. You've been a really good accountant. You've worked really hard to be an attorney. You worked really hard to be. I mean, you did what you were supposed to do. You went to school. You followed the rules. You did everything you were supposed to do. And now here comes ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude, and then about 1 billion other new SaaS companies that are going to have clever names like, Bill AI or Maggie AI, and they're going to have all of these features that are going to replace an entire person and replace an entire department. It's going to happen. It's happening right now. And do you guys want to come together? Do you want to create a world of abundance and not exploit scarcity, not exploit complexity, make things simple? I mean, look how complicated our society is. Look how many, what's simple is a garbage man and an HVAC guy coming around. What's complicated is financial markets and information technology roles and all of these really complicated things which we don't need anymore. I mean, everyone's saying it. I'm not making this up. People are saying it. So come together. Look out for UBI. It's not the answer. What are you going to buy with it? This is happening. This is happening, okay? Start planting your gardens. Start getting your communities ready. And let's start looking at ways to actually make this work in our favor. I mean, people are talking about trying to solve cancer. I think we can solve a lot of issues with this. I think we can create a world of abundance. I think we can create a world of abundance that reduces suffering. And I don't think it's actually going to take a lot. And God forbid, if we put all of our energy into enslaving our minds, if you're telling me the best you've got is that my son and daughter are going to have to be nodes in an agentic system that have to approve, the question is, who's the agent then? Who's the slave? Who becomes enslaved to make $1, to grab your attention? So what am I going to do? I'm going to tell you what I think. We're going to get really deep with this. And I'm actually going to show you some of the things I've been working on. Because I think that if you're not thinking about how do you exploit business or people, if you purely think about what you can do with agentic thinking and AGI, when you only think about really alleviating human suffering, reducing subjugation, removing oppression, I mean, those are some pretty awesome businesses. And I need people for those. Those people could be you. I owned a company. I need help starting these next ones. And I don't even want to own these businesses. I don't want to be a CEO. I don't want to be a business owner. I want to be a fire starter, a trendsetter, someone who just helicopters things out to people and they take them and they own them. Here, you guys take these. You guys be successful. Because in the future we're going into, it's not going to be how selfish you can be. It's going to be focused on how selfless you can be, because we are about to go into the biggest change we have ever encountered. The biggest change we've ever encountered as society. This trumps. I was teaching my kids the other day about ages. You know, we talked about the Stone Age. We talked about the Bronze Age, Iron Age, the Renaissance, the Gunpowder Age, the Industrial Revolution. And you think about those ages, but the joke about those ages is stone, bronze, iron, gunpowder. Those were tools of war. We demarked our ages by the weapons, by the materials we used for war. This is the artificial age. So what is the war? Don't let it be your mind.